Greetings and citations, everyone. This is a re-recording of a video that Box and I did regarding the Troll and Draenei Heritage questlines. So we're going to be re-talking about what we kind of talked about in that video, and we're going to go ahead and see how that goes. So yes, let's introduce ourselves as always. This is the Boxman, the Boxmas guy from Box and Jacquilope.
Ben, thanks for having me on as usual. Mighty appreciate it.
Yep.
I did just point at my screen.
He does do that. I do that too sometimes, I guess. But yes, so we are going to be talking about what we tried to talk about in that video. I am very brutally honest when I make a hiccup. This is one of the first times I think I've deleted audio on purpose before. Well, I guess it was on accident, not really on purpose. But yeah, so in that video, and I'm gonna try and recollect my thoughts that we had talked about, we had first talked about the Draenei and what their story could be and what their armor could be, and as before, I think we said it wasn't going to be as long in the topic compared to the trolls, because we care about the trolls a little bit more than the Draenei. Not saying we don't like the Draenei, we love the Draenei. They're just as great. They're actually one of my favorite races in the Alliance. But in that video, or in that previous discussion that Box and I had, we had talked about the reintroduction of Auchindoun on Azeroth, as was predicted by some YouTubers. I don't know if that's been confirmed, but at the very least, it would be a very cool idea to have Auchindoun, or this, you know, this tribute to the not the undead, but the dead of the Draenei on both Argus, Azeroth, and Draenor. And it would, you know, reaffirm that their new home is Azeroth, and it would be, I think, really good to showcase all the structures and all the different sub-races of the Draenei, with the Eridar, the Draenei, the Broken Draenei, and all of them kind of colluding and colliding back onto Azeroth as their new home. And I think Auchindoun, a new Auchindoun and a new Shattrath would definitely be great to have in their settlement on the Bloodmist Isle and Azuremist Isle. But I'll let you keep that flame going, Box.
Alright, so talking about the Draenei, I do just want to say, next to Pandaren, of course, the Draenei are my favorite alliance race, not allied race. But what Ben said, I think, was really interesting. So let's take a step back to Dragonflight and talk about the Eridar questline for a minute. I really, really liked that quest with Ezreal, or was it Arzal? I think. Either way. I always mess up his name, but regardless, he was a really good character, and I really hope that questline is kind of just continued in the Heritage questline, and if it is some sort of new Auchindoun, I could foresee that being on the Bloodmist Isle portion of the map. Perhaps the Draenei have been working to cleanse the land over, you know, with the crystals and all the little, like, infection and stuff up there. But I could see each area of Auchindoun being a different subsection of, like, the Draenei races. So you'd have, like, the regular Draenei, the Broken Draenei, the Crocul Draenei. They're basically broken. They are Broken Draenei. The Eridar, and then the Lightforged. And I think you could have a storyline with each of their leaders and further tease, like, we know Broken Draenei are something that's been really requested over the years. So I think further teasing them would be good. For the armor itself, like, I don't want to get too into it, obviously, but I really could see this being one of those sets, just like the Orc one, that has multiple variations, right? Like a Fel variation for Eridar players, a regular Draenei one, and one that kind of, like, looks, you know, like maybe like a little more holy looking, and then one that's a little darker for the Broken Draenei. Now, what's always been really cool about the Draenei is, like, I love that, like, look. And Ben, I'm going to totally steal your thunder here from the original cut of the video. But in our original video, Ben mentioned that the armor should look like the Draenei from the Burning Crusade concept art. And I just want to point out that art was one of the reasons I fell in love with the Draenei as a kid. and why they're one of my favorite races. So something simple like that, instead of like you said, like instead of that look, like I don't want to say like the Maraude look, but that, like, it shouldn't be centered around like a paladin archetype. It should fit everybody. You said that last time, Ban. Totally second that, and I think it's something that could easily be done, and just with different variations. Give them that wanderer look. That's what you said. Like, the Draenei they haven't really had a home. They've always been basically fighting for their life, so I think they should have that kind of rugged survivor look, but also, like, they've just been through so much. I think that would be a really good direction for them. For characters that I'd really like to see, I really hope we see, like, Hatun, Ezreal, Arzal. I'm going to say both names again. I really hope we see him again. Velen will obviously be there. I don't see, for some reason, even though Velen's old, I don't foresee him stepping down as Prophet in this quest line. Kind of like we've had a few passing of the torch storylines. I don't see that with Velen right now. I didn't say this in the last cut, but if we get storylines involving spirits, I'd love to see Maraud's spirit again. I really loved Vindicator Maraud and Warlords of Draenor. Such an awesome Draenei. But yeah, I think there's a lot they could do with this quest line, and like, the Draenei as a whole are a fan favorite, and I really think this quest line will be an easy win for them. I mean, the Eredar quest seemed pretty well received by the community, and I just see more of that in this quest. Like, that's, I guess, like a TLDRs, I just want more of that type of storyline again. It was the stuff in Legion that I really liked that felt continued there. And yeah, that's about it for me, Ben. I love the Draenei. I know I always go on a bit of a tangent when it comes to them, but there's a lot of good stuff there, and like, they're probably, in my opinion, the most interesting alliance race.
Oh yeah, I think I would have to agree with you on the Draenei being the most interesting of the Alliance races. You know, they're the most distinct, I think. They look, you know, because a lot of the Alliance races look very similar. You got humans, dwarves, gnomes, elves, like... Yeah, I think that, like, Night Elves and Draenei are, like, you know, one of the two races that kind of stand out among everyone else. And the Pandaren, but, like, the Pandaren, you know, of course they stand out. They're panda people. But... yeah, I'd say I'd have to agree with you. I mean, I don't know if you said Akama, but I want to see Akama, definitely. He is the number one character that I need to see again for the Draenei Heritage questline, because he's basically, you know, the new Lord of Outland. He's the new leader of Outland, since everyone else is leaving it. And I do think a part of the questline should be the Draenei outright saying, yes, we're leaving these homes behind permanently. Very similar to how the Orcs are. You know, the Orcs are in the Kosharg, they outright are like, yeah, Outland is dying, we need to come to Azeroth. And I think that should be reflected as well with the Draenei people and their storylines, as I said. I really want, like, almost... I guarantee they're just gonna probably have, like, the leaders already on Azeroth, probably. But I'd really love, like, a fetch quest of, like, us going to each of the... racial leaders of the, you know, of Outland, of Argus, of Azeroth, and kind of just, you know, getting them all to gather up in this new, placement of the New Auchendoon. I'd be okay with them calling it New Dune, or, you know, New Auchendoon, something like that. Oh, do you have something to say? Go.
No, I absolutely agree with that. Maybe you have to go to each of these areas to find some sort of, like, memory of somebody who passed for each sub-faction of the Draenei. That would be really cool as, like, a first, you know, offering or something, like, or a first, how do I explain it? First tribute? Does that be the word? But it's, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be a good quest, man. I love the idea of just going back to these old, iconic areas. Like, I think revisiting Argus in itself was, like, really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing what's going on there after Legion. Because that was a big question in Legion. It was like, okay, bye Hatun, we were flying away. And, like, I'm kind of glad they clarified that they stayed by choice. You know what I mean?
I'm glad that they clarified the state of Argus in a way. Like, it's still there. It's still something that you can live on for the moment. And the Legion are still active there. And, the Eridar are, kind of revolting against the Burning Crusade that has been left behind with no leaders. I hope that they address, like, stuff like, even further with, like, okay, well, what happened to Archimonde, because his state has been always up in the air, and now they've kind of confirmed that the alternate Archimonde that we faced was not our Archimonde. That kind of, like, makes me think that, he could show up again. I don't want him to show up again for the Heritage questline, mind you, but, like, it's stuff like that I'm like, oh yeah, further world build. Further showcase what's up with the Draenei, further showcase what's going on with the Eridar, and that's just what we want more of. Like, that's what I loved about the Orc Heritage questline, because it basically affirmed, hey, yeah, the Orc clans are a thing again, and this is what they've been up to since they were dissolved, since these storylines concluded in, like, say, Wrath, or Cataclysm, or, of course, Mist of Pandaria. So I always like when, like, we go back and, like, revisit places and characters, and I really, for a while now, I think everyone has been clamoring for a world revamp, and, like, these Heritage questlines, in my opinion, have done a really good job of setting that up for certain races, especially the Orcs with Durotar. And if Auchindoun, for example, a new Auchindoun gets placed, or a new Shatrath gets placed in, the world where the Draenei live, and, like, they showcase that in this questline, I'd love that, though, for, like, other races, too. Like, I just love the idea of, mini world revamps through questlines. Even if, like, they don't stick. Like, it's, like, confirmed canonically that, like, oh, hey, the Draenei are working on rebuilding Auchindoun here, or they're rebuilding a Shatrath, where the Exodar used to be. Because, like, the Exodar is, like, a crashed spaceship. And, like, Velen kind of confirmed in Legion, like, they can't rebuild it. They were only able to, like, salvage a little bit to make the Vindicar. So,
right.
I think that would be really great. And again, like, it's just, I'm actually okay with the passing of a torch if Velen wants to retire, but as long as he kind of remains significant within, like, his people, like, instead of being the leader of the Draenei solely, you kind of have him, bring back the Council of Exarchs, and he's no longer a part of it, but, like, he's still, like, a mentor, or, like, a spiritual leader for his people. Like, they can still turn to him for advice, still turn to him for his leadership, kind of like Thrall, but, like, Thrall's obviously the go-to leader of the Orcs.
Maybe the Desolate Council would be a good comparison?
I don't know. The Desolate Council is, I guess it is similar in that sense, but, like, because, like, I still think that Velen would still be a figurehead, you know what I mean? Like, he's...
Right.
I wouldn't say he can outrank a council member, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, it would be like if they made a council for the Orcs, full well they would still, like, listen to Thrall more than, say, like, the leader of the Dragon Maw. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it says that they're equal, but one definitely is more respected than the other. I guess that's the way I'm trying to phrase it. But, like, Velen, wouldn't abuse that power. That's what I'm trying to say. But, yeah, I love the idea of revisiting the different Draenei and different cultures of the Draenei and their people, having Akama, Velen, the leader of the Eridar, whose name escapes me, Hatun.
The one that I always say his name wrong.
Nabundo. Like, and they could even, if they want to, throw in the Lightforged Draenei, but I really don't have a lot to say about them. Like, sure, involve them, but, like, I really don't think that they stand out comparatively to the Draenei, and that could be something that they could address if they want to. But, yeah, no, I think that's mostly it, and as you said, really what I said, but you reaffirmed it, the concept art would be the perfect Draenei Heritage questline armor that they do. Just do different colors of it, do the base armor as the, the color you get with the Draenei, or even the Broken. That could work for the Broken. The purple could be the normal Draenei, and then, like, the green and the black could be, the Eridar's armor color scheme. But yeah, that's definitely what I would do for them. I really can't think of anything else. I really think I've noticed a bit of an issue with heritage armor. I don't know why they go to plate all the time. Like, I don't mind it fully, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, they have the chance to try something new or try something unique, and I think, in my opinion, I don't think the Draenei really are well represented by plate armor, you know? I see them more as, like, the cloth and leather wearers, even mail wearers to some degree, here and there, but mostly...
My Draenei, I play a Draenei mage for mine.
Yeah, like, their leader is Velen, their leader is Kil'jaeden, their leader is Archimonde, and all those guys, like, yeah, their armor kind of resembles plate, but, like, when you look at it, it's cloth. So, like, I view them more as wearing, like, tethered gear, tethered cloth, you know. As we talked about, they seem very much like wanderers and explorers. And as before in the previous video that we had to that we're re-recording right now, I mentioned how I'd love to see the Draenei from the Orphans Week show back up, very similar to how the Blood Elf, who became a Blood Knight and is the adopted daughter of Liadrin, I'd love to see her show up again. Maybe, like, as the adopted daughter of either a Kama or an Abundo or something, some significant character. It doesn't need to be them specifically, it could be anybody. But I'd also like to see the, I think I also mentioned that in the video too, but I'd love to see the daughter, or the girl from the Black Temple trailer make a reappearance, maybe.
Oh yeah, I remember you talked about that in the first recording.
Yeah, we don't know their fate, and I assume they're either dead or they escaped and got separated from Akama. I do want kind of like a confirmation on what happened to them. It's such a small little thing that they never really tell you about, and like, obviously we could just play the card of she's dead because she's not with Akama anymore, but she could also have just gotten separated from Akama. Like, nothing really states that she's dead. We just see that he lost a lot of his party, and yeah, maybe they're gone. I don't know. It's very vague, and that's what I was trying to, like, kind of pinpoint. But if you have any more to say about the Draenei, go right ahead. We'll get into the troll stuff in a bit.
Not necessarily about the armor, but I just want to give a shout out to Bloodmist Isle for being one of the best starting zones in the game.
I have no comment. I don't think it's the best, but you know what? I'll let Box praise it. I don't have any opinions on it, really, if it's bad or good. But moving on.
The ending makes it all worth it.
I don't even know what the ending is. You wanna tell us what the ending is before?
You just see kind of like all the people from Azurmist and Bloodmist like congratulating you for a job well done when you get the tabard of the hand. And it's a nice little scene at the end, and during Burning Crusade, it was nice.
Doesn't sound that crazy to me, but I'll give it to you. Anyways, moving on.
Thanks, man.
Moving on to Better Pastures.
Better Pastures!
Moving on to one of, I think, Box and I's favorite races. I'd say, honestly, Trolls are probably my second favorite race in the Horde altogether. Like, counting everybody. You know, that are playable. Let's say that, because then I Orcs would be my second favorite, because Mueh'zala are like...
I agree with that, man. I agree with that.
Moving on, we have the Trolls. And the Trolls, I think we have a lot more to say and more to talk about, comparatively, because we like them so much, but also just because I think there's more to say about them. You know, with the Draenei, it's like, oh, well, they're congregating, they're reuniting with one another as a species on Azeroth. Like, what's more to say? With the Trolls, however, there's a lot to talk about because there's so many tribes, and I outright, with what we've had data mined, I should say, spoilers for that, we've seen several upon several troll tribes, not just the Darkspear, as many predicted. Now, I would have preferred it if it was solely a Darkspear storyline, but it seems that they're going more into the tradition of the Kosharg, where it was different clans and different tribes. So we'll be seeing what everyone is up to, and personally, in terms of like what I want for the story to be in that sense, I really want it to be Talanji rallying all the troll tribes, but with the Darkspear kind of taking up the front and center of it, like, because they already have good relations with the Zandalari. And what I want kind of is like the opposite of like what Zul was doing with the Troll Empire, and rather than like, outright opposing everyone, it's more about the trolls uniting once again as a people, as a unit, to restore their lost lands, to restore, you know, what was destroyed by the Cataclysm, destroyed by the Alliance, essentially, and a little bit of the Horde, but not really. Like, I'd honestly argue the Horde was mostly defending itself against, like, say, the Zandalari, or, you know, certain threats. But, like, you know, like, you go to different sections and different places on Azeroth and restore what was lost with, like, the help of the Loa, with the help of the Darkspear, with the help of the Zandalari. I would give this mostly to the Darkspears, though. This should be mostly about them. Just have Talanji sending them on this mission, because she's the queen of the trolls, you know? So you might as well still have her be top dollar. But have it be, you know, have this be a story about Rokhan as the chieftain of the Darkspear. Have this, you know, let Zekhan do some stuff. Have, you know, lesser known troll characters either rise up in the ranks that we've not seen for a while, or, you know, I love, what I loved about the Orc Heritage questline was we got new leaders. We kind of need that with the Gurubashi and the Drakari and, you know, the Sand Trolls, everybody, you know, the Faraki. So that's what I would use this as an opportunity to kind of, like, because we kind of maybe are having that eventually done in Midnight, for example, with the Amani Trolls. So maybe this could be like a foreshadowing of those events. Alternatively, of course, you have the ascension or the rise of Vol'jin as a Loa, which has been a slow churn of events since his death at the Broken Shore, which, you know, me and Box hated at the time, but you can't really go back, you can't really retcon that moment now. All you can really do is fix what was done by bringing him back, and everyone has been clamoring for this moment, I think. And I think it shouldn't be the only focus in the Heritage questline, but I do think it should happen. And it shouldn't just happen, like, offhandedly. It should be this big moment where we see Vol'jin again, and where he rises as a Loa. And with that, I do also think that this should be a time to celebrate Rokhan as the leader of the Darkspears, because we really haven't had a time to shine with him as their new leader. He kind of was just kind of thrusted with that position, with a little celebration, little say-so, and I think it should be celebrated if he's to remain as the Darkspears leader, if it's not Vol'jin coming back. But I will toss the mic to you, Box, in that regard.
Alright, I just caught the microphone here. So, I'm going to echo a lot of what you said, Ben. I think that is a great quest line where we get to see what's going on with the other troll empires, you know, with the Darkspear leading the charge at Talanji's request. Because, like you said, Talanji is the queen of the Zandalari, the queen of the trolls. Like, so she's a big figurehead, and I think it is okay for her to show up during this quest line. Something that I just thought about that's kind of interesting, right? And this kind of goes for the orcs too. If you play a Maggar orc, the Koshard quest would make perfect sense still, in my opinion. So, like, I feel like if you play a Zandalari, we could get on this afterwards, like, it would be fine for them to still be able to do this quest line, in my opinion. That's a whole nother topic, though. I'm going to kind of go more character focused, so I don't echo exactly what you said. I think Rokhan needs his time to shine here, because Rokhan's definitely, to me, he's the type of leader that just had it handed to him, and he's done a good job keeping things going for the Darkspear, but, like, I don't think he particularly wants leadership. Correct me if I'm wrong. He even says it during that one scene, so I've always kind of gotten that vibe from him, and he seems like an older troll. But I always like Rokhan, you know, just for being in the Founders of Durotar campaign, and, you know, him taking over for Vol'jin made sense, and again, he's just been a nice presence in the storyline. I really like his voice actor. He does a really good job. But yeah, this quest line should be him leading the charge, and he definitely will, because him and Talanji had a friendship in Battle for Azeroth, so I just foresee that continuing here. Zekhan, I love Zekhan, and I want the Zappy Boy himself to either accompany Rokhan or at least just be there as a nod to the Darkspear. He was a great addition. But Vol'jin, we've talked about this, and I won't dwell on this either. Vol'jin's death was the biggest mistake in this game, and the fact that there is a way to correct that is awesome. with him becoming a Loa, and I think we talked about this ban, and I'm gonna ask the question this time too. With him becoming a Loa, I personally don't want him to be like a giant dinosaur or anything. I want him to just be Vol'jin and be back. Whether he takes over leadership of the Dark Spears is to be remained. Is remained to be seen. I would actually be okay with it, and just keep Rokon as a second in command. I think I would be 100% fine with that. And that's not to say I don't think I would be unhappy with the Rokon remaining leader either. I'd be more than okay with that. So there's no wrong answer for that, in my opinion. Vol'jin, though, there's more to tell with the guy. He's the guy that literally saved the Horde from Garrosh, helped us fight back the Iron Horde, but more importantly, like I said right before that, he saved the Horde from itself and had such a beautiful arc in Mists of Pandaria that, like, it really, as a Darkspear fan, it hurt, like, seeing him die, and not in the good way of, like, damn, I feel for this. It was like, oh, man, that character was wasted, whereas Varian was the opposite. So, Vol'jin coming back, it's been a slow burn, like you said, over the course of Battle for Azeroth and Shadowlands, and I think the time's finally come. Legion's turning 10 years old in 2 years, so it'll be 10 years from Vol'jin's death. So it's been long enough to bring him back in the storyline, in my opinion. Let's bring him back for the World Soul Saga. As for the armor, I guess like a Shadowhunter armor would look pretty cool. The thing on Vol'jin's back, I would love. Hopefully it doesn't clip like the Trading Post one. I do like that thing still, but it does clip on the back of the trolls. And I do like that Blizzard's been doing pieces like that. Their art team always does a really good job with everything. But yeah, no, I'm really excited for this quest line. It's just gonna mainly feature a lot of characters that I like. If it does feature spirits, I know it's Zandalari, but perhaps seeing Rastakhan again could be a thing. With maybe like all the trolls would be present for the ascension of Vol'jin at the end of the quest line. That would be really cool, so you could see some spirits. But, and again, I did like something you said, Ban, where it could set up the Midnight expansion, because that's actually, ironically enough, I'm more excited about the forest trolls than the elves in that expansion.
You and me both.
Just saying.
You and me both,
elves.
buddy.
Nothing against the elves, but I want the Amani to be back and see what they do. I like, in a similar vein to like how the Zandalari were, like I just liked that vibe in Battle for Azeroth questing with them and stuff. So that's where I would land on that. Overall, I think Blizzard has an easy win with this storyline if they just do if they just make it like like the Koshard questline. That one's the template.
It really is.
But hey, Ben, I'll let you reflect on anything I said. I know I just dumped a lot.
Oh no,
of,
there's a reason why I bring you along for these, because you and I can go back and forth for minutes on end. If it was just me here, I feel like I'd only have like maybe 15 minutes of me talking about each. Maybe, I don't know. Depends. But I'd have to agree with you in terms of the armor at the very least, to some degree. I think that I love like either a combination of Rokon's and Zekhan's and Vol'jin's armors all together from Reforged for Rokon, obviously. But also Zekhan's just was so iconic in the WoW cinematic. They brought it in and gave it to him in World of Warcraft and Battle for Azeroth, and it was really good. I love the helmet, and the shoulders, and everything about it, really. Just if you flesh it out more, add more 3D features. I've seen some fan art of it, and the fan art version looks better. But obviously Vol'jin's is also really good. You could also do the Sen'jin armor, which is just the Witch Doctor's armor, and it's like, it's very cloth-like. It's got that scarf that Zul'jin has, which, speaking of spirits, I'd love to see Zul'jin as a spirit, finally free from Revendreth, and finally able...
What if... Yeah! Oh my god, dude. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
You're
man.
Okay.
But, like, what if, like, that sets up the Midnight thing, like his spirit coming back and talking about the Amani and stuff.
You have a lot of people do not like how Vol'jin was done as well. Trolls, what is with it? I feel so bad with trolls because I feel like they fall into a very similar boat of all of their characters kind of getting wasted. Rastakhan in a way, Zul in a way, Vol'jin in a way, Vol'jin. I feel like Jindo the Hexer was done fine. I don't really mind him and his death and demise, but
yeah, his was good.
He got what he got his justly reward in my opinion. But I honestly feel like trolls get done dirty a lot, and it's one of those things where I want them to have. I don't want all trolls to come back as like Loa. I don't think that's the way to handle it, but I'll let Zul have. I'll let Vol'jin come back as a Loa too for the Amani, and he basically, you know, him and Vol'jin can butt heads a little bit as both Loas and leaders for their people, but like eventually Zul kind of like Vol'jin. I keep calling him Zul. Their names are too similar. Vol'jin could
Zol got done dirty too.
They could bring him back too, but not as a Loa. Just have him come back and be an enemy of the state. An enemy of the Republic. But yeah, I think that I love the idea of just them getting a second chance, both Vol'jin and Vol'jin. They're really cool, and I'd love to see Sen'jin again too. You know, you have Karen show up for the Tauren. You have Grommash and Ogrim and Sarfang and Draka and Broxagar all show back up for the orcs. So why not have the trolls have that nice spiritual moment? Same with the Draenei. With I know we talked briefly about it, but I'd be fine with Murad coming back, and also the former Exarchs that died during Draenor and all that. But that's beside the point. I don't want to talk about the Draenei too much. But yeah, that's what I'd want for the trolls. We briefly talked about this too in the original video that got deleted by my mishaps. But I also, again, if Vol'jin does come back, either in the Heritage quest line, or after the Heritage quest line, or whatever, what have you, either or, I would love a reunion between him and Thrall, and also Bane, but like mostly Thrall and maybe Rexxar, and, you know, all of Vol'jin's friends. If they want to show up for the Troll Heritage quest line, I know that these are mostly about those races, but I've always felt like sometimes another race can show up depending on like their brotherhood and friendship with the other race. And obviously, as long as it's not intrusive, I think they'd be fine though if, like, you know, Vol'jin gets to reunite with Thrall and they get to have a hug. I know that's very corny to some people, but they were brothers, and I do think we need more moments like that between, say, Thrall and, say, Vol'jin, because they were brothers, they were friends, and Thrall has lost so many people. Dear God.
I would love a Thrall and Vol'jin bro hug.
A Vol'jin and Thrall bro hug that first starts out with a handshake, or both, why not? But that's genuinely speaking how I'd want the questline to be. You know, it's this union of trolls, and this is the start of something. It's not the end of something. It's the beginning of the trolls rising up and getting their lands back, getting their... It's basically the plots, the very similar plots with what Zul wanted, but with Talanji. But instead, it's done peacefully, because the trolls have every right to the lands that they lost, that they ruled over. And it's upsetting what happened with each of them, you know? Obviously, some parties could have done better, but at the end of the day, I think the Amani were done dirty. The Gurubashi were done dirty. And had they had someone like the Horde, had they had someone like Talanji and Rastakhan kind of steer them away from open conflicts, I think that they could have resolved, like, keeping their land and getting their land back. And now, if they want to have some conflicts with the Alliance over this, let's have it, you know? I don't really have a problem with the Horde choosing a side and in having conflict arise from it, as long as the trolls get their lands back and get their happy endings, so to speak. I'm for it, you know? There's a way to do this that doesn't always have to end in happiness and friendship, and, you know, I don't want to, like, take shots at the Gilneas questline, but, like, I do think there could have been a little bit more of, like, agitation towards the other side. Obviously, I think they did it really well with Gen, but I think we could have had it a little bit more with other characters, like Crowley and the Forsaken as well with Belmont. But I think ultimately that's what I want for the Trolls and the Draenei Heritage questline. You know, returning characters, returning tribes, returning peoples, spirits, ghosts. Maybe they could even finalize the Troll settlement as an actual city, or if they want to have like, I don't know. I'm kind of okay with the Dazar Lore being the Troll capital. But if they want to have, like, the Dark Spears have their own capital, finally, you know, south of Orgrimmar.
Expand the Echo Isles.
Expand the Echo Isles. Have the Zandalari help them out, or something, you know? I like that idea. You know, you could... there's just so many ideas that they could do, but, ultimately, I think that's it. I can't think of anything else that we want to say regarding this.
I think you pretty much covered it all up, man. Like, basically, Vol'jin, we love you. That's my final thoughts.
We love you, Vol'jin, and we want you to come home. And you could, you know, and speaking of throwbacks and olden times, you could have Zuni show up as a ghost too. Good old Zuni.
Oh, poor Zuni.
I feel like him and Zekhan would have gotten along great. They're very similar in many ways. Some people... Oh, before I forget. We could finally meet Vol'jin's sons. Or daughter. I don't know what other children he has, but he apparently has some kids. I've been wanting to have them finally be canonized and for us to meet them. And his wife, too. Well,
did not know that Vol'jin had kids.
He has kids and he has a wife. It was confirmed in Shadows of the Horde, and it was confirmed in the Stranglethorn questline where Yenneku, Vol'jin's apparent youngest son, and we save him. So I'd love to see Yenneku again and be like... Because, like, what's up with that? Why didn't Yenneku become the new chieftain of the Dark Spears? Is Yenneku too young or too in a state of shock still from being mind-controlled all those years ago by the Gurubashi witch doctors? Love to kind of have stuff like that get brought up again, you know? Like little nods to old questlines like they did with the Kosharg. Again, the Kosharg is what you want to turn to. The template. It's the perfect template, Blizzard. It's sad that the guy that worked on that no longer works at Blizzard Entertainment, but he did a major good job, and I'd love to see a follow-up with that questline. I feel bad because we're supposed to be talking about the Orc and Draenei, but... Not the Orc and Draenei, the Troll and Draenei. But I talk about orcs. It's what happens. But, yeah, ultimately, I think that's what I'd love to see, you know?
I think pretty much, Ben, you covered everything there. Honestly, I don't have much else to say.
I don't think I have anything else either to say. So, that was the redone video of Box and I talking about the Troll and, Draenei Heritage Armors and questlines. So... Tell us what you think down below. What would you like to see? Are you happy with what we talked about? And do you think that we'll get it right? I guess we'll see in a bit, because it's probably going to come out soon. Probably in a month or two from now. Who knows?
And a shameless plug, if you want to hear us talk about the Pandaren Heritage Armor. We did a whole podcast on that.
We also did a video of me and Box just kind of hashing it out while he did the Orc questline. It was mostly just me yelling at him for not reading, though. But yeah, that was this podcast light video of Box and I just kind of gushing out about the Draenei and the Trolls. So let us know down below what you think. But until next time, bye.
Bye.